1, 2, 3, 4, let's go.
It's Heartbeat.
It's a fabulous show.
Alaska.
Hi, Heartbeat Alaska.
It's Heartbeat. Alaska.
Pull up a chair and enjoy the show.
Hear it from Sitka to Barrow. Gather around for Jeannie's show. It's the Aleut, the Indian and the Eskimo. It's the Aleut, the Indian and the Eskimo.
Welcome one, welcome all.
Hello everyone and welcome to Heartbeat Alaska. I'm Jeannie Green. Thank you for joining me. Today we travel to Aleknagik, Alaska. We re-air this story that's in the forefront of the villagers' minds. The question is, will Wood River Bridge be built? Be back with Heartbeat Alaska right after this.
Heartbeat Alaska, we'll be right back.
Heartbeat Alaska is brought to you in part by Brown's Electric Lighting Gallery. Thank you, Brown's Electric, for your generous support of Heartbeat Alaska.
Heartbeat Alaska is also brought to you by Frontier Flying Service. Thank you, Frontier, for getting Heartbeat Alaska airborne.
Aleknagik is located at the head of Wood River on the southeast end of Lake Aleknagik, 16 miles northwest of Dillingham. Wood River and Lake Aleknagik have been used historically as summer fish camps.
It's really pronounced Aleknagik. In winter, sometimes it gets really foggy. I guess in the old days, when it was foggy, you know, the people going up Illutsik would end up going up this river here.
The name Aleknagik means wrong way home, and it's people that lived on the Illutsik River, you know, would get lost in the fog and start ending up coming up the Wood River, and so, you know, that's how it got the name of wrong way home.
At first there weren't that many people. There were just a very few families that were living here. You know, when I was growing up, there were people living up, you know, at the end of the lake. There's a few families here. I guess it was found by the Smiths, Ray Smith, and the Moodys that are living here now.
I think that Aleknagik had native communities here. There's different sites right here where the Mission Lodge is, and there's sites downriver and up in the park or up in the upper lake. And these are sites with artifacts and things. So there were native people here. And I think probably during the flu epidemic is when, you know, they got, you know, depopulated.
By 1939, Aleknagik had 78 residents, over 30 buildings, and a small sawmill. In the late 1940s, a Seventh-day Adventist mission and school was established on the North Shore. During the 1950s, a Moravian church and a Russian Orthodox church were built in Aleknagik, and over 35 families lived along the lake. In 1959, the state constructed a 25-mile road connecting the south shore of Aleknagik to Dillingham. This road today serves much of the community as the main means of traveling to Dillingham. To all who visit Aleknagik, this Yupik Eskimo village of a little over 200 people, it seems like the perfect little community, nestled on the shores of the pristine Lake Aleknagik, the perfect weekend getaway. For those who enjoy sports fishing, it's exactly that. In fact, there are a few privately owned fishing lodges that stake claim to some of the best fishing worldwide. However, for the residents of this tiny community, there are challenges that many of them face on a daily basis.
Yeah, Aleknagik is on a lake and river system, so we're spread out between the North Shore and the South Shore. And there's also an island with several houses on it. And we are connected to Dillingham by a 22-mile road, and people can, well, from the north side, they go by skiff, you know, to the South Shore and then drive to Dillingham for supplies and things.
With the road being built on the south shore of Lake Aleknagik, those who live on the north shore have the task of getting back and forth across the lake. There's a fire truck and a health clinic on each side of the lake, but there's no store in Aleknagik, which means residents must travel the 25 miles to Dillingham to shop for food and supplies.
This time of year, I'd get on my four-wheeler, load up everything I need for my skiff and for my trip to town, take it all down, load it all in the skiff, take the skiff across the lake to the south shore, pack everything up, load it in my truck, drive the truck down the 20-some miles of dirt and gravel road, and finally a few miles of pavement into Dillingham, get whatever I need, and then reverse the whole process. So it's an ordeal to go get supplies.
Although the hassle of commuting across the lake for supplies is a concern of many of the locals, the biggest concern is the safety of the residents. You see, the elementary school is located on the north shore of the lake, and high school students must travel to the south shore.
We have a little bit more residents on North Shore than South Shore. And we have high school students that have to cross the lake every morning on North Shore just to catch a school bus to Dillingham High School. And then we have South Shore elementary students that have to cross the lake just to go to elementary school on North Shore.
On the South Shore, we have 5 that come to school here, but we have several kids that live on this side, 6 or 7, 8, that attend high school in Dillingham, and so we're also responsible for transporting them across the lake to catch the bus from Dillingham City Schools. For one thing, they have to get up quite early in the morning and travel in oftentimes pretty nasty conditions just to catch their bus, and a lot of times they'll get over there and the bus isn't able to even get out here. And so we end up retrieving them. And you know, sometimes they spend a good deal of time out in the cold and the nasty weather to no avail.
I think that's a concern for the whole community, that the kids are crossing and they're, you know, they're going daily, which means in all different types of weather. And, you know, when it's a blizzard or, you know, what's going on out there, these kids are trying to get to school. And, you know, they do have a lot of days where, you know, they just can't get there, and they have to stay home, so they miss school.
I know there's been times where it hasn't been safe for kids to go across the lake to catch a school bus, and they've missed a lot of school because of that, and it hurts their education. If they miss too much school, it's hard to catch up. And so they fall behind. And that's a deterrent to even try to catch up.
Derrick Andrews and Illutsik are just 2 of the youth who cross the lake every morning to catch the bus to Dillingham, regardless of the weather.
The bad days it's cheap. Going across, like if it's windy out and it's rough out, you get wet and cold, and I don't like it. It's cheap.
I don't enjoy it. Get wet. Get our feet wet. And it's cold. All this takes a while to get the motor started, and you're just sitting there and you start shivering. It's a little too cold.
One of our elders that was crossing the lake fell in. Her life was saved because someone was taking a steam and they heard her yells for help from the lake, and you know, then of course our first responders team, and with the help of local citizens, she was able to live another day. Unlike so many others, not only my mother and her brother, but also my cousin fell in with a snow machine. My Uncle Paul drowned with the skiff. He turned over with the skiff and he drowned not too far from here. And there's been many others that have passed on here. And just recently we also had another young man that drowned. Also, he was only, I believe, 18 or 19 years old. That recently drowned too.
Every year, people die out here crossing this lake. People died last year, people died this year, and people will die in the future, and we've been lucky it's not been our school kids, you know, traveling to or from school, but odds are eventually it will be. And, you know, it would be nice to not have that as a concern.
Well, we had a number of the drownings, you know, on the lake, crossing at winter time. Well, it happens just about every year or every other year. Sometimes 2, 3 drownings a year, or 1 year, about 4, I guess. Even us, you know, we had close calls in the storm out here. I mean, you know, we just driving along in the fog, and then all of a sudden you're over the water right in front of you, you know.
Some rough days we can't even go across. We don't even get to get across. So rough out there.
You have to be very careful. For example, if you don't have the weight that you need when it's really windy, you may very well flip your boat over. I know that a lot of people end up carrying an extra bucket of rocks or something if they don't have the weight that they need in the front if they need to get across the lake.
In the late 1950s, people started saying we needed a bridge. Then when I became mayor, I started working on I was the very first mayor. It was in 1973. Then that one month, you know, in the spring, the city sent me to June to lobby for a bridge. Ivan was the representative. Then Ivan put on the city of Aleknagik's wish list. So it's a long time coming.
A bridge connecting the two shores of Aleknagik would greatly reduce the chance of accidental death for the kids and other residents who are forced to cross the lake during the treacherous times of the year, and would make getting to school a little easier.
I don't think it's so much a matter of what would make it easier as what would make it safer. And I think you know, if we had a bridge and could travel with a covered vehicle on 4 wheels that's stable, you know, that's going to, I wouldn't say it's going to be easier because, you know, the location of the bridge would be quite a distance from the school, and it's actually going to increase the amount of distance we need to travel to get those kids. However, it's going to be a lot safer to do.
I understand that there is one thing that's come up since our last meeting, and that is that the state DOT is going to have to submit this project, the Wood River Bridge project, to a cost-benefit analysis.
Today, the push for a bridge is still a topic of contention.
I hate to see one of these days, you know, when Randy's bringing some of these kids across, you know, he might not see something or a hot spot and have the whole thing going. You know, it's one of these days it's going to happen. We keep talking about it, you know, it's going to happen. And I want to see it completed before something like this happens to our children, or even to our elders crossing this lake.
The city has chosen a site that crosses the shortest points at the head of the Wood River. However, local resistance and Parks and Recreation have concerns regarding accessibility to the Wood-Tikchik State Park, the largest state park in the nation.
I spoke to Dan Horhan, who's the ranger for the Wood-Tikchik State Park, and he is not very excited about a road to the park, and I think they more see it as a wilderness park, and that, you know, you have to find remote ways of getting there.
Another concern about a bridge being built across the Wood River is that all 5 species of Pacific salmon, king, sockeye, pink, silver, and chum, spawn in the Wood River and Chythlook systems. A bridge could have adverse effects on the return of these species of salmon as they make their way up the Wood River. Recently, the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities, in cooperation with the Federal Highway Administration, conducted an environmental assessment to determine what the overall impacts to the wetlands and environment would be if a bridge were constructed at the head of the Wood River. Their finding was that there would be no significant impact to the environment. The concern of some lodge owners is that road access could possibly diminish the appeal of certain lodges that are currently accessible only by boat or plane. A bridge could also result in increased competition from Dillingham residents and South Shore residents for subsistence resources in areas traditionally used by North Shore residents. Beyond the concerns of the Park Service and local business owners, the price of building a bridge to span the Wood River is phenomenal. Reports of anywhere between $5 million and $18 million have been quoted. However, the argument exists that when compared to a human life, $18 million means very little.
That's a lot of cabbage. And I guess if you weigh a human life is costing $5 million or $14 million, you know, and if it did save somebody, then yes, it would be worth every penny.
It's going to be worth $18 million. One life is worth over $18 million.
The state's investment into the youth would pay off in the long run. Isn't it their responsibility to invest in our youth, to make sure that they live in a safe environment and that they can get the education that they need?
As the people of Aleknagik try to convince the state of the importance of having a bridge that would connect both shores, the children and residents of this tiny village take their lives in their own hands every spring and fall, crossing a lake that has taken many lives in the past. Although some locals of the area see a bridge as an invitation to trespassers and vandalism, many community members see the bridge as a way to boost the economy of Aleknagik while ensuring the safety of their people as they cross the lake.
What I would like to see happen, and that is I'd like to see the state park be accessible by a road, and that bridge would be a wonderful tool for that type of access, and that would bring, I think that would bring a lot of tourists here, and it would really boost the economy both locally and also in Dillingham.
The young people, we're concerned they need to have the opportunity to have economic venture here in the village, but also to be able to cross the lake safely and to feel secure that your child or children are crossing the lake safely without having to worry if they got across to the other side or not.
Aleknagik is considered the gateway to the Wood-Chythlook State Park. And Wood-Chythlook State Park is the largest park in America. And if there is a bridge built, you know, with the Southwest Transportation, with the plans to build roads to the upriver villages, and that would be a beginning towards that. It would be a safety also for the villages upriver to come across. If they're coming down in wintertime, they could cross the bridge also.
We're right at the gateway, the largest state park in the United States. There's a new parking lot for 300 cars. But in the summer, in the Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, it gets, full. It's full. There's at least 1,000, sometimes I think there's up to 2,000 people recreating on this lake when the weather is really nice.
We need a bridge not only for the safety of the community, but this village has a great economic potential, not only for the village of Aleknagik, but for the nearby villages, for the businesses locally, and also the state of Alaska. They have an opportunity to also take advantage of an economic venture here in the village of Aleknagik. As I said before, we're the gateway to the Woodtukchik State Park, and the opportunity is here. Not only with that, but there also may be other opportunities available.
Besides becoming attractive to sightseers and weekend vacationers, a bridge could benefit the community of Aleknagik in other ways.
The north side gets most of the projects of, it's got the state airport and the office building, the post office and the school. So most of the projects have come to the north side, and the south side feels left out. And a bridge would help provide more feeling of connectedness and, more of a feeling of community between the both sides.
A bridge would also mean a decrease in the cost of supplies for North Shore residents who would no longer need to transit back and forth by boat or snow machine every time they needed to travel to town, and a decrease in the pressure on parking at the Lake Aleknagik State Recreational Site because North Shore residents would no longer need to park there. The proposed bridge could also enhance the local economy through the consolidation of government services and facilities. Currently, Aleknagik has 2 gravel pits, 2 fire departments, and 2 clinics to serve both shores of the lake. With bridge access, these different services could be combined to provide a better service to both sides of the community.
There's 2 clinics, one on North Shore, one on South Shore. We had an emergency. A plane could not come across. It could not land. We had to bring the patient across with a sled in the winter. So that's what normally happens if it's late. So you have to bring the patient across either by skiff or by snow-go.
Although the people of Aleknagik have their work cut out for them, there's one thing they know for certain.
Bridge have to be built. It's not gonna it's subject, we have to keep working out at it, it's just not going to go away.
Thank you everyone for joining us for Heartbeat Alaska, and thank you everyone in Aleknagik for your help in this story. Now I'd like to remind you once again to get your camcorder out. Annual Heartbeat Alaska Christmas special is coming up in December, right before Christmas, a 2-hour special this year. That means that we'll probably get your village greetings on. So please, get your camcorder out and start gathering those, won't you? For Heartbeat Alaska and everyone here, I'm Jeannie Green. God bless you. We'll see you again next week.
Okay, Wayne, right here comes Heartbeat Alaska. We are here.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Uncle. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to Mattie Bodfish.
Happy birthday, Mattie.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Mattie. We love you many more.
Mattie Bodfish of Wainwright, Alaska, is celebrating a very special day today. It's her birthday. But this is no ordinary birthday. Today, she is surrounded by her family, friends, and loved ones who have come from abroad to celebrate Mattie's 100th birthday. Mattie has stayed young by living a traditional lifestyle, eating native foods, keeping busy with native activities, hunting and gathering subsistence foods for most of her life. She lives alcohol and tobacco free and wishes only one thing for all her people.
She says she wants them to be obedient and that she wants them to be happy and love each other.
We are honored to have been part of this monumental and joyous occasion. Happy birthday, Mattie. This healthy living message brought to you by AT&T Alascom, a proud sponsor of Heartbeat Alaska.